comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here.
Good morning. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So glad to have you with us this morning. I love this song.
Me too.
I love lots of songs.
You do. You're a very musical person.
I love music. Yeah, you know, it's interesting because my very best friend in the entire world besides Tobin is not musical at all. And I just love music. There's, you know, it's like I have something going almost all the time. And she's like, I don't care. So anyway, just a little difference. So yeah, their big shakeup in the House. Paul Ryan has said that he's not going to run again.
Yeah, he's stepping down. You know, it's interesting. You know, he talked about spending time with his kids. He's 48 years old, and his oldest child is 16. And Paul Ryan was 16 when his father passed away, and I'm sure that is weighing on him a little bit. But I'm going to stick to what I said yesterday, which is that for me, I think this has a lot more to do with sort of the politics of what's going on right now. That there's a big blue wave coming. He's probably not going to be the Speaker of the House come next year, and yeah.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I think more than anything, and I know that we talked about this a bit yesterday, but it's still a big story. The thing that I don't think he wants the Trump legacy stuck to him. And the number of Republicans who have decided not to run for re-election is astonishing.
It really is.
You know, and we knew this would happen. And one of the reasons why we left the Republican Party was because we didn't want the stink of Donald Trump tainting the party that we belong to.
Yeah.
And there are things that he's done right. I like the appointment of Neil Gorsuch. I do like the tax cuts, although the tax cuts with
the Paul Ryan tax cuts?
The Paul Ryan tax cuts. But the tax cuts without a cut in spending is actually worse than no tax cuts at all.
Yeah. The way that they came forward with this omnibus budget bill after the tax cuts completely undermines any level of credibility these guys had as fiscal conservatives.
Yeah, and I think the deficit is well, not I think, I know it's reaching record highs. And he said he was going to be a deficit buster, and the Republicans for 8 years under Obama, we're going to cut spending, we're going to cut spending, we're going to cut spending, and they didn't even try.
Yeah, no, I know it's ridiculous. So. Interesting times that we live in, Erin.
So he said that he never actually wanted to be Speaker of the House, and I have a vague recollection of that when he was appointed, because there was he's always been a fiscal conservative, and they wanted some fiscal sanity. Unfortunately, they get stuff passed in the House, and Mitch McConnell would just let it die in the Senate.
Yeah, exactly. So Paul Ryan definitely did not want to be the Speaker of the House, but he was the only one that all of the Republican Party could get behind because he had just been the standard bearer as the vice presidential candidate. He had the highest profile and the most respect amongst all the competing factions within the House in the Republican Party. And, but he really didn't want that position. He was happy being the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, where he could oversee the budgets and really push his financial vision for the country. And, the day-to-day sort of running of the party in the House, that's not something he wanted to do.
Well, and I feel, there's an article here in Politico that it says that Paul Ryan came to Congress as a Jack Kemp conservative and will depart as a Donald Trump Republican, which is tragic. It's not at all who he wanted to be. And for those of you who are too young to know who Jack Kemp is, he was, when he was running for office, he was a fiscal conservative. He got along with everybody. Former football player, right?
Yeah, and Jack Kemp was also a little more socially moderate. He had a real heart, and he wasn't one of these guys who was out there saying we need to, bust up the social welfare infrastructure. But he was talking about other ways of helping people to rise. And so he looked at a lot of the social issues and came up with conservative answers to how do we help people in need, without just giving them a handout. And I think that's why a lot of people liked him.
So Donald Trumpism has hijacked the GOP, and it's for those of us who are conservative, in a classical liberal. And I know that even the definition of what people think a classical liberal is has changed. But I believe in liberty. I believe in fiscal sanity because what we're doing is not sane.
Yep.
I believe in allowing business to, especially small businesses, to thrive. Right now, we have a situation where the biggest businesses are thriving, and the amount of regulations on the smallest businesses means that they can't easily become big businesses.
Yeah.
Especially in the state of California.
Yeah, it's a mess right now. So I wish Paul Ryan well. It's interesting to see some of the vitriol that's being piled on him, though, by people all across the spectrum. People are using his announcement as an opportunity to call him every name in the book and laugh at him, and it's shameful. And this guy has served his country it'll be 20 years when he leaves, and we should honor that.
So what does he do next? Where do you think he goes from here?
I don't know. I suspect he'll take a little bit of time off, enjoy that, and then probably because of all of his connections, I suspect he'll end up in a fairly high-level position. The question for me is, does he stay in his home state, in his original house? Does he stay there, or does he take a job in D.C. or something like that and move the whole family,
What would you do? I think I'd stay where I am.
Yeah, I think so, too. Especially since he's talked so much about sort of being there with the kids and not being a weekend dad anymore. The idea that you would now upend the kids for your new job doesn't really fit with that narrative. So I suspect he'll stay there. And so the question is, what jobs are there? There's a lot of jobs in there's a lot of medical companies that are there. And so I suspect that he may end up working for one of the big medical companies as an executive of some kind.
So on to other scary news. The president is now saying that a Syria attack could be very soon or not so soon at all, whatever the heck that means.
Okay, so Trump got all kinds of grief because he essentially announced via Twitter that we would be retaliating against Russia, right? And you just typically don't do that. You want to hold those cards.
You don't?
You want to hold those cards kind of close to your vest.
Wow.
Right?
What could go wrong by doing that?
Yeah, I know. And I said Russia, retaliate against Syria.
Yeah,
but
okay,
also,
let's be honest, it's Russia.
But directed at Russia. And so so I think this follow-up tweet now that's basically saying, well, it could be soon or it could be whenever, is designed to, muddy the waters on his initial tweet, which was basically, we're coming for you, So anyway, it's just ridiculous. It's Trump ridiculousness, and you don't know what to take seriously from this guy, and maybe that's a good in the sense that it confounds our enemies, but I think in a general sense it just makes him look ridiculous, and it makes people lose faith in our government as a strong actor on the world stage.
The thing about it is, at some point, somebody's going to call his bluff. So when he's bloviating, and essentially that's what he's doing on Twitter all the time.
Yep.
When he's bloviating, somebody's going to say, "All right, I'm going to take you up. I'm going to challenge you on that. With this, we're going to go get Syria." And what if Russia said, or Syria, and let's be honest, it's Russia, said, "All right, fine, we'll do the first strike. We'll get you first." And then what does that look like? We're not in the same boat as we were in World War II. It's not that hard to get to us anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
and the thing about it is we're saying, look, Syria attacked its own people with biological chemical weapons, right?
Do we, and I'm just going to play devil's advocate, do we have proof that it was actually Assad who did that?
I don't know.
There's a lot of bad actors in that region.
Yeah.
And I wonder, do we have proof that it was Assad who did that?
Again, I don't know. I just know that the article I read said that they were over 50 people that had reported to hospitals that had all the telltale symptoms of this kind of attack, and based on their description.
I think it happened.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, do we know for sure? Do we have proof that it came from Assad? And I know he's done it before.
Yeah.
But, I don't trust anybody in this arena.
But the person that you really want to get for this is Assad. But to get to him, there's probably going to be a lot of collateral damage. And so we're saying you attacked your own people, so we're going to attack you and your people to punish you for attacking your people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The
Which
irony,
makes no sense.
The irony of that makes no sense to me. It's a complete hypocrisy. So I really don't know what we're going to do.
And of course, there's pictures all over the world news of kids with oxygen masks on their faces. And I don't know. I've got to be honest. There, like I said, there are so many bad actors in that region. I don't know who did what. So I don't trust our current administration to be able to get down to the truth. I really don't.
No, they're not known as truth tellers.
No,
Aaron.
they're not. They're
Not
not
anymore.
Not anymore. So this is it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker,
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
and we'll be right back.
This segment of programming sponsored by Cybertime Network Communications. How's your internet? Slower than what you were paying for? Feeling boxed in with the high cost of the internet? It can be frustrating and expensive, and with net neutrality coming, it's not getting any easier. Ready for a better high-speed internet service? Then you're ready for Cybertime. And they're local and right in your own backyard. Cybertime provides connectivity for all our transmissions you're listening to at KCAA. Cybertime is locally owned and will respond to your needs with the best service. It's crisp, cool, fast, and sleek. Cybertime uses the latest, leading-edge microwave technology to be able to offer clients a safe, reliable, public or private network that fits almost any budget size. Numerous local city agencies rely on Cybertime's microwave private network for their most critical mission applications. You should too. Get connected, stay connected, get smart, get Cybertime. You can Google, text, or call Cybertime Network Communications at 909-795-9559. Cybertime Network Communications in Calamasa.
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, email CEO@kcaaradio.com.
The liver really takes a beating. For optimal detoxification and liver health, get Quantum Nutrition Lab's Liver Support and Quantum Turmeric. Buy 2, get the 3rd one free. Call 888-588-7578 or visit us online at qnlabs.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, PhD, host of Healthline. Tune in and hear the latest breakthrough information for you and your family.
The Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands is serving up some really cool ice cream at La Micho Acana. Then get your chocolates and other delights from C's Candies. Moms and future moms who visit the mall can cool off and relax while they get treated like royalty at Shiny Nails or Francis Nails and then pampered at Texture Hair. The Tri-City Center is filled with retailers who care about you. Shop at the Tri-City Center in Redlands and see why they call it the mall with a heart.
Get all the facts, all you need to know on KCAA Radio.
You don't know me, but I'm your brother. I was raised here in this living hell. You don't know my kind in your world. Fairly soon, the time will tell.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. So CNN politics. Now, I'm going to take everything with a grain of salt because CNN is on a mission to get this president out of office. I mean, they
Okay.
really are. I
Okay.
just, based on what they publish. But they do have an article here that says, it's an exclusive, inside the GOP plan to discredit Comey. And let me start by saying that Comey did a pretty good job of discrediting himself during the election cycle, where it's like, we're investigating Hillary. No, we're not. Yes, we are. And honestly, if the president would have just left it, I think it would have been fine. Like people wouldn't have remembered, that Comey was wonderful. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, this is one of those really weird and interesting things. Their plan from the Republicans is basically to rehash all of the Democrats' attacks on Comey from during the election cycle, because the Democrats, of course, were irate as Comey reopened the investigation. Well, first announced there was an investigation of Hillary Clinton in the middle of the campaign, then closed it, then reopened it 11 days before the election. And so there's all kinds of footage of major Democrats attacking this guy for his credibility because of that. And then after Trump won the election, of course, Trump and the Republicans were all saying what a great guy Comey was, da-da-da. And, of course, that turned really quickly when Trump decided that he needed to get rid of Comey. And, of course, getting rid of Comey then led to Mueller and the investigation of collusion with the Russians being handled by an outside counsel. And so, it's just all this stuff is so interconnected. And I think that, in Comey's mind, it's all good news because he's trying to sell a book.
Yes.
He's trying to sell a book. So, hey, bring on the attacks. Bring on the attacks, because that's going to make people more interested in actually buying the book to see what's in it. And people will be talking about it a lot more. So
his book is called A Higher Loyalty, which so he's taking the high road. And he compared Trump to a mob boss. And I got to be honest, if we've talked about this, his business was real estate in New York before he did anything else.
Yep.
It was real estate in New York, large building projects. And when you think of construction in New York, what do you think of?
the mob.
The mob.
Yeah. Yeah,
At least I do.
Yeah, no, hey, I'm right there with you. So James Comey actually is going to be in an interview on Sunday night on ABC with George Stephanopoulos, and that's where he called Trump a mob boss in that interview. And I think a lot of folks are going to tune in to see that interview, and he's got a series of interviews lined up. And so this is why the Trump administration, of course, is preparing a response, right? They want to have their talking points out there. And this is traditional politics, and it's actually going to be run out of the Republican headquarters, not the White House, but from the party headquarters to sort of organize people to go on talk shows and bring up counterpoints and try to discredit and talk about why people shouldn't listen to Comey.
So this is the WWE presidency.
Yeah.
And I say this because this man loves to fight.
Yes.
And he loves the chaos. And so we've started rewatching Game of Thrones.
Uh-huh.
And it just, Littlefinger saying that chaos is a ladder. Mm-hmm. I swear that's in my head at the moment.
Yeah.
And I know that Trump is at the top, but he's always, he's always trying to create drama. There's always something going on.
Yeah,
Where most presidents, they don't comment on all this nitpicky stuff.
Yeah, for me, the Trump presidency is almost, again, it's like TV come to life. It's the Frank Underwood presidency, right?
Yeah, except that Frank Underwood had, he was craftier.
Yeah.
And he was less in your face.
Yeah.
About it.
But he sowed chaos as well. I mean, that's how he got all of his other people out of the way. I mean, he was a congressperson who worked his way up to the presidency by creating chaos in the administration of his own president from his own party, who then had to dismiss the vice president, and then the president himself had to resign, and that's how Underwood became president. And he just sowed chaos everywhere he went so that he could rise up the ladder.
Yeah.
Chaos is a ladder.
Chaos is a ladder.
And, one thing I like about Comey is that he fights too, and so I think it's going to be interesting to see somebody actually stand up and push back. Because a lot of the folks who ran against Trump, because it was so unusual to have someone being so aggressive against members of their own party, really didn't respond properly. People didn't know how to punch back. I think the best one during the campaign that punched back was Carly Fiorina, right?
Yes.
Because she knew how to deliver that kind of ice cold, in your face, calling you out for your boorishness. Whereas the other guys tried to get down in the mud with Trump, and they just couldn't do it. Like when Rubio started making comments about Trump's hands. It's like, hey, come on, dude. That's not the way to counter this guy.
No, I actually feel I like Carly Fiorina. I wish that she was unsuccessful in California politics, so she jumped to the presidency.
Yeah.
I wish that she had taken a different road, because I think she's a smart woman.
Yeah.
But you don't get to leap forward. You really don't, especially when people really don't know who you are.
Yeah. It's interesting. When she ran for the statewide office here, I did not like her campaign. I was not a big fan of her as a candidate in California. But when she ran for president, I had a newfound respect for her. I liked her a lot better when I saw her in that environment and on that stage. I hope that she does eventually decide to do something with politics, but I think she needs to take a step back, not a step forward.
Indeed. So the streets of Cancun, apparently they had 14 murders in 36 hours. So Mexico has gotten even more dangerous. And earlier in the year, the State Department issued increased warnings about travel in Mexico, with I think 5 states getting the do not travel warnings. And Sinaloa and Michoacan and a few others where we know that there's a lot of drug activity, so cartel activity, were not surprising, but there were some areas that were surprising. So Mexico's most popular hotspot has become overrun with drug gangs as violence in the tourist party town escalates to unprecedented levels. Cancun has seen 14 murders in just 36 hours, the highest ever in the country's recorded history. The latest violence on April 4th saw 14 people killed and at least 5 others left with gunshot wounds in 6 separate instances in the party town. And this is from the New York Post. The figure surpasses Cancun's previous record of 9 killings in a day, which was set on November 25th in 2004. More than 100 people have been slaughtered in Cancun since the beginning of 2018 as Mexico's cartels continue to spread fear throughout the country. The Mexican tourist hotspot's growing crime wave has threatened to leave it a ghost town, with most murders in Cancun remaining unsolved. Amid thriving drug trade and widespread extortion, fear is rampant and threatens to have a spillover effect on the country's multi-billion-dollar tourism industry. British journalist Christian Gurumurti recently traveled to Mexico for SBS's Dateline to investigate why so many murders are taking place. And this is a quote: "This is one of the most beautiful views in the world, and we're the only people here." Later, just before sunset, he found himself in the middle of a crime scene. A man had been gunned down in the sand. 4 men had come in through a luxury hotel and attacked the man, who later died in a hospital.
Wow.
Right?
So, I've got so many thoughts on this issue, Aaron. First off, I have been so wanting to go to Cancun, and partly because my news feed online is filled up with ads with really great deals. I'm wondering why the deals are so great, Aaron.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing this is the issue, right? People are not going because it's not safe, and so they've got to fill those rooms, so the prices are coming down. I mean, so on the one hand, you might be able to get to go there for cheap, but on the other hand, you may not be so safe while you're there.
So
that scares me.
If you're Mexico and Cancun is your gold mine, I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's people from all over the world go to Cancun because it's beautiful. And you've got drug cartels gunning people down. Do you send in the Mexican military?
Yeah, and then, what does that do? Because when people see military guys walking around with their rifles and whatever, that doesn't, maybe that makes you feel safer. Maybe it makes you feel more like you're in a prison than on a vacation.
So one of this Guru Murti, this Englishman said, it's as if the police don't want anyone to notice. There's a minimum fuss and hardly any officers here, and at the crime scene that he witnessed.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we'll just pretend it didn't happen. Well, it is happening, folks.
Yeah. Well, the stat that they've had over 100 murders, and they're not even halfway through the year yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're in the 4th month.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Wow.
We're 25% through.
Wow. So they're looking at if that rate continues, that's over 400 murders for the year.
No, not 25. We're third.
A third. Still, that's
Sorry.
a lot of murders.
It's early, folks.
That's a lot of murders.
It's a lot of
Aaron.
murders. Well, it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on the Brink, the morning show on KCAA. We'll be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292 FQ Riverside, and K293 CF Moreno Valley.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Carter. President Trump says he never telegraphed when the U.S. would attack Syria. Trump tweeting this morning, could be very soon or not so soon at all. Trump vowed to respond to a suspected chemical weapons attack in Syria. But Syria is fighting back.
This morning, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, according to Syrian state television, delivering a warning to Washington, insisting any military action by the U.S. and its allies will only cause more instability in the region.
NBC's Peter Alexander. The New York Times says the FBI was looking for the infamous Access Hollywood tape when they raided the office of Donald Trump's personal lawyer this week. The Times says agents were also looking for info on payments made to women who've accused Trump of extramarital affairs. California Governor Jerry Brown says his state's National Guard troops will be on the border, but they won't work with federal immigration enforcement officers. He says the state doesn't take federal funding for immigration enforcement. Lisa Carter, NBC News Radio.
It's time for traffic on KCAA. I'm Erin Brinker. In Riverside on the 91 westbound before Magnolia, a two-vehicle wreck is now along the right shoulder. There's some stop-and-go traffic from La Sierra. Traffic stays heavy out to Green River Road. The 71 south is busy as you approach the 91. In Temecula on the 15 southbound before Rancho California Front Street, there was an earlier accident. It's been cleared up, but there's still stop-and-go traffic backed up from the 215. This has been your traffic report on KCAA. We are the stations that leave no listener behind. I'm Erin Brinker.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Alvin Washington. Slight chance of sprinkles this morning. Look for a high of 68, clear, windy tonight, low 47. Sunny and breezy on Friday, high 78, clear, calm Friday night, low 51. Sunshine, warmer Saturday, a high of 82. I'm Alvin Washington, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways. We are the trifecta of talk in Southern California. KCAA 102.3 FM Riverside, 106.5 FM Redlands, and The Legacy, 1050 AM Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
Know your rights and responsibilities. You're a hardworking student. You've grown up here. You're striving and working towards the American dream. You're a dreamer and maybe you need to renew your DACA deferral. Now is the time to take action. On January 9th, the district court ordered a halt to President Trump's efforts to terminate the deferred action for childhood arrivals or DACA. And now the Department of Homeland Security is now accepting DACA renewal applications. Now you can get free DACA renewal assistance from the TODEC Legal Center. The TODEC Center may also provide you with payment assistance with up to $495 in immigration fees to renew. Stay here, stay home, stay with your family. You're valued, loved, wanted, and needed. Get free legal screening and consultation, application assistance, and legal representation. For more info, search todec.org. That's TODEC.org. Or call for upcoming workshops at 951-943-1955. That's 951-943-1955 for the TODEC Legal Center. And dream on.
Disney on Ice presents Frozen.
Elsa? Do you want to build a snowman?
All the adventure, all the moments. Join Anna, Elsa, Olaf, and your Disney favorites when Disney on Ice presents Frozen, the show worth melting for. Tickets start at $20. Restrictions and additional charges may apply. Coming to Long Beach Arena April 19th through 22nd and Citizens Business Bank Arena April 26th through 29th. Visit Ticketmaster.com for details.
KCAA.
Loving you isn't the right thing to do. How can I ever change things that I feel? If I could, maybe I'd give you.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and FM 102.3. And one of the things that I enjoy about my job is meeting publicists from all over the country. And most of the time we just, they're in New York. Many of them are in New York, and so I don't get a chance to meet them in person. But one person who has been able to just send some really great guests, like Dr. Huber earlier this week, is Ryan McCormick. He is a co-founder and media relations specialist at Goldman McCormick in New York. He has created dynamic public relations campaigns for numerous legal, financial, entertainment, and corporate clients. He's also appeared on ABC, Fox News, CBS, and PR Week discussing crisis communications and and reputation management. He has a unique relationship with the press because he's one of them at his heart. McCormick is a former CBS TV producer and editor for Long Island Business News, and he's also the executive producer of on all client original radio shows for Goldman McCormick. So excited to welcome to the show Ryan McCormick.
Great honor to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us a little bit about, I see that you were a producer on CBS, but why did you start your own firm?
Started my own firm because my PR partner Mark and I, we just had a unique philosophy about how to do things. We were working under various individuals, and we just wanted to do things differently. Our approach was that we felt that the media and our clients deserve to be equally served. They were just as important, the dynamics of that relationship. We're working with the media. It doesn't matter if you're offering a guest that is your client. You have to do the right thing by everyone all the time. And also, we wanted to do a lot of charity work pertaining to animal rights and animal advocacy. So it was basically the fact that we felt confident in our vision and our methodology, and we wanted to serve clients their own way.
Well, that's wonderful. So the music that I just played, "Going Your Own Way," was quite appropriate.
Yes, actually, it's very appropriate, especially based on my astrological sign, which is the ultimate nonconformist sign. I'm born exactly on the day of the ultimate nonconformist, astrologically speaking. So it's perfect.
For those of us who are ignorant in the ways of astrology, what day would that be?
That would be January the 31st.
Ah.
Aquarius is the people that march to the beat of their own drummer.
Yeah, that's totally my brother. He's February 2nd.
Oh. I know people say, "Oh, what about astrology?" I think a lot of it makes sense. I mean, I generally get along very well with people who are born in May for some reason. If you're born in May, there's a very good chance we're going to be friends. I don't know.
My birthday is May 1st.
That's amazing. There we go.
So tell us about this fast-paced environment. If people think of PR careers, they think it's glamorous, but it is a tremendous amount of work. I mean, it's exciting, but it's, you work long hours. Tell us about what it's like to be at ground zero in the PR world.
Sure. Well, I just want to say that anyone who's interested in going in PR, the thing I recommend to you is that if you have a full set of hair, you're going to lose at least 50% of it. So get used to losing your hair and losing your looks in a very short period of time, because it can be very stressful. I think it's very stressful when you care a lot. When working in PR, I think there's a lot of combinations. You always want to serve your clients. You always want to serve the media, and your reputation can take years to develop. But in a moment's notice, it could crumble. So you constantly have to be on guard. And I think that there's a really wonderful element about it, is that you could be really creative and put all these good intentions out, and you help your clients manifest their dreams. So in our firm, we love seeing our clients manifest their dreams, because it is our dream to help our clients manifest their dreams. So we try to keep this perpetual circle of positive energy going around. And I think that if you are out there and you're trying to raise your public profile, one of the strongest and best things you can do is to commit to telling the truth always, even if it's not music to other people's ears. If you have that reputation of being truthful, and you can be passionate, and you can be interesting, you could probably raise your profile in ways that you'd never imagined. PR, I don't believe, is spin. It is not cutthroat as far as our perspective goes. We believe that everyone can eat like a king at the table.
Wow. So, I think about some of the highest profile PR people in our country, and they really, if you're talking about the press secretary of the United States, and we've had some good ones. Dee Dee Myers was really good. There's been many others that have been very good. I can't imagine what it's like to be Sarah Huckabee Sanders and try to make sense of the things that the president says.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, you constantly have to go in defensive mode. Some people thrive on it. It's going to sound strange. In the beginning, the stress of the industry was weighing on my partner, PR partner, and I. But now we love it. The pressure and the stress, it's an adrenaline rush, because it's kind of like, what else can you handle? And if you can handle yourself during the situation, I mean, it makes the times when periods are relatively calm so much better.
Now,
but it's a challenge, I imagine. Sarah, how can you say, my goodness, how strong does she have to be every day?
Yes, she's very talented. I mean, the message that's coming out of her mouth is the White House's message, and that's the thing about PR people. You're giving your client's message.
You're giving your client's message, but at the same time, you don't have to agree with your client. They're putting on a particular message. We work with people that are all across the political spectrum, and we will put information out. The only thing we will not do is if somebody is an advocate of anything that has to do with being against animal rights, we won't take it on. We have very strict moral moral compass when it comes to certain things. You don't have to agree with your clients. You can present them, but you don't have to agree with them. I think sometimes people need to realize that too. That if you're representing someone, you're not necessarily taking on their opinion. You're manifesting or getting their message out the best way possible.
So, what was it like producing a show on CBS?
It was very exciting, and I was waking up, basically living and then not seeing the sun too often. But I was producing a national show for CBS, editing stuff, editing shows, editing stories, and booking guests all at the same time.
Wow!
And a lot of times, my executive producer would call out sick, so I was kind of in there all by myself. And it could be. And I recommend that anyone who, not only if you want to raise your profile, work in the media, because they give a new profound respect for media professionals. In addition to the CBS, I also produce a nationally syndicated radio show about metaphysics, and I also produce other radio shows. So when you constantly have to find a great guest, and you need to refine how the quality of the show, it makes you respect your profession and the profession of the media so much more.
Now, have you ever tried to put something out there that you thought would work and it didn't, and then how did you deal with that? I
would say 90% of the time that happens. 90% of the time, or maybe 95% of the time, you have a fail rate in PR. That's one thing that it can be challenging. I put things out, Aaron, where I thought it was going to be the biggest story in the world. And I've worked with clients, put out their perspective, and you're shocking. And then all of a sudden, something else comes out that gets a tremendous response that you never saw coming. The entertainment stories, the way people are fascinated with celebrities, I think always mystifies me. You could have a breaking news story about, saying, listen, we found a way to get to Mars in 5 minutes, or we found this incredible breakthrough in our solar system, and it'll still wind up on the page 6 or 7 of the newspaper, whereas if a celebrity does something crazy, that'll be page 1.
Isn't that crazy? I don't understand that. I mean, I live in, this is Southern California. It's all about, it's a company, LA is a company town, so it's, it's all about the entertainment industry here, but I just don't get it.
I don't understand it either. I don't. And I say that when you are in public relations, you have to be prepared to get rejected. So when I was growing up, and most of my life, I was absolutely terrible when it came to women. I was getting rejected all the time. I succeeded one time, and that's the woman I married. So I think that by getting all that rejection, it kind of built me up. It was almost like I was meant to be in PR because I'm so accustomed to getting rejected.
It was good training for you.
I'm training for my profession, and I guess that's how I perceived it. Yep.
So if looking back to when you were in college, and I didn't ask you this, did you want to be in PR then? Did you want to be in broadcast or mass media?
I did. I was actually studying in film, studying in TV, and when I was in college is when I had the PR awakening moment. I was I created a film that I wanted to show on campus, and the night of the premiere, the film was a technical disaster. It wasn't even complete, but I showed it to a packed house of 500 people, and I had local TV, I had local radio, I had local newspaper coverage on a student film. And my friend that night turned to me. He said, "You know something?" He said, "You are an absolutely horrible filmmaker. You're terrible. But you were able to get media out here. Maybe you should do PR." And I was like, that's a great idea. And that's what I turned going forward. I seem to have a knack for getting the press there, but I was terrible at making the film. I didn't like making the film. I wanted the press to come anyway, so I guess that's what I enjoyed more.
So that reminds me of how many people are working in music and engineering and production and promotion who just were just not able to cut it as a musician.
Yeah.
That's I say cut it, but it wasn't their cup of tea. That came out wrong. I just that's a lot of people who end up producing. I have a brother who was working in Nashville. He had his own studio, worked with some big acts, and he tried it as a musician, couldn't get there. But as an engineer, he did a great job.
Listen, it's wonderful. They're able to do it. Sometimes you have to find your niche. When I first, many years ago, I was doing stand-up comedy. I loved doing it, but I was terrible at it. I was known as the vaccination comedian, which means that comedians that were very bad would have me go on stage first. I would bomb so bad that when they went out and did their mediocre set, they were like embraced. And after about 3 years of just completely tanking, I wound up doing PR for the comedians. I was so much better at working behind the scenes. So it's incredible. I mean, if you have passion, you have drive, you have a flair for an industry, if you don't succeed in one aspect, I believe that if you have the passion within inside, you're destined to succeed in some other aspect.
You must have the thickest skin available to be able to stand up, do stand up for 3 years, and
yes.
and
Oh yeah, and I think I had one night when I was successful. And that was because the audience was so drunk, and that so I could go up there and just make noise like boom, 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 and they would laugh all the time. Oh my God. I got booed off the stage. And when I was doing comedy back many years ago, this is the time when Jim Norton was on stage. A lot of the comedians that were very big today, I remember they were like the headliners and they were the MCs. So it was pretty amazing, but yeah, it was pretty awful. And I think sometimes when you're in PR, you're in any other industry, I think the sooner you know your shortcomings and you accept it, the sooner you can move on. Not to say you need to give up on your dreams, but understand where your talents are, maybe focus on where your talents are.
Exactly. Maybe adjust your dreams a little bit.
And modify them.
Well, and it's a good thing you did, because you've been wildly successful, and it has been a thrill. We're unfortunately out of time, but it's been so great having you on. I love working with you and the guests that you send over to me. So keep doing what you do.
Will do, and if people want more about us, by going to our website at goldmanmccormick.com. Thank you so much for having me.
Ryan McCormick, thank you so much. It's been a delight.
Thank you.
So it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we'll be right back.
This is Scientific American's 60-Second Science. I'm Jason Goldman. As animals grow, the sounds they make change. But some sounds continue to change even after an animal matures. That's true for humans, and now it turns out to be true for North Atlantic right whales, too. A member of the baleen family of whales, the endangered North Atlantic right whales spend most of their time along the eastern coast of North America, from Canada's Bay of Fundy south to Florida. Syracuse University biologist Holly Root-Guttridge analyzed recordings of whale calls to see if researchers could use those sounds to identify individual whales. In an audio program on a computer screen, a call has a particular shape.
Staring at these calls all day, I started to notice they were changing. And then we looked a little bit harder at the data and realized that they weren't just changing from being a little tiny baby to being a fair-sized adult, but that they kept changing over time.
Root-Guttridge and her colleagues rounded up 17 years' worth of whale recordings. In all, they gathered nearly 1,000 calls from 49 individual whales between the ages of 1 month and 37 years. Like many other animals, the calls of the infants were both shorter and less structured than those of the adults. Mature whales produced calls that were clearer, longer, and more structurally complex. But the researchers also found that the calls continued to develop long after the whales reached sexual and physical maturity.
Instead of just changing from the age of 0 to 15 when they're pretty much full grown, they kept changing after the age of 15 and just kept going throughout their whole lives. Compared to, say, a bird, where usually they get to their full-grown state and then they don't change these calls.
The results were published in the journal Animal Behavior.
Well, it means that instead of just having a completely instinctive reaction where they always make the same call in response to the same stimuli, a reflex basically, that the whales are capable of changing what they're calling and how they're communicating, which means that they may be thinking about what they call.
In other words, understanding the calls of North Atlantic right whales might shed some light on the minds of North Atlantic right whales. In the meantime, scientists announced recently that they did not observe any newly born North Atlantic right whales this year. Bad news for an already imperiled species. With luck, the work of biologists like Root-Guttridge might offer insights that help us as we try to help them survive. Thanks for listening. For Scientific American's 60-Second Science, I'm Jason Goldman.
What if I told you you'd never have to make a house payment again? What if you could pay off much needed home repairs and even create an income stream based on the value of your home? If you're 62 years old or older, you could be eligible for a reverse mortgage. Call Tim Harrison and find out if a reverse mortgage is right for you. Call Tim at 800-566-2475. That's 800-566-2475. Tim Harrison, branch manager, NMLS number 170960. Broadview Mortgage Corporation is licensed by the Department of Business Oversight under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. License number 170952. Registered with the Nationwide Mortgage Licensing System and registry number 813B544. Broadview Mortgage, equal housing lender. Remember, if you never want to make a house payment again, except for property taxes, maintenance, and insurance, that's 800-566-2475. That's 800-566-2475.
For several years, KCAA has been marketing the Youngevity brand of nutritional and personal care products. Our experience with Youngevity has been 100% positive, so we are pleased to recommend them to you. Regarding nutritional supplements, we recommend Pollen Burst in the berry flavor and Tangy Tangerine 2.0 in the tablet form. For regularity issues, we recommend 3-Day Cleanse, and for personal care, we recommend Morning Hydration Cream. You can shop online for Youngevity at www.kcaateam.com, or you can order by phone by calling 800-982-3197 and tell customer support that you are part of the KCAA team. Youngevity is an American company based in San Diego. Call Youngevity at 800-982-3197 and ask about monthly auto ship that allows you to buy Youngevity products at wholesale prices. That number again, 800-982-3197.
The liver really takes a beating. For optimal detoxification and liver health, get Quantum Nutrition Lab's liver support and Quantum Turmeric. Buy two, get the third one free. Call 888-588-7578 or visit us online at qnlabs.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, PhD, host of Healthline. Tune in and hear the latest breakthrough information for you and your family.
KCAA, where every day is a great day.
Roll another. La da 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 da, la da da, la da da da, la da da da, la da da da. I was gonna clean my room until I got high. I was gonna get up and find the broom, but then I got high. My room is still messed up, and I know why. Why, man? Yeah, cause I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high. La da 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 da. I was gonna go to class.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are not high.
We are not. But this is a great song, and it's a perfect lead-in for a really, really funny story.
Okay, so John Boehner, remember him?
Yes.
When he held public office, he was very against marijuana. And Tobin, I'm having computer issues. Can you pick that up?
So John Boehner, former Speaker of the House, was a diehard, never ever gonna budge on marijuana kind of guy, right? In fact, he once said back in 2011 that he was unalterably opposed to the legalization of marijuana. And he said it was out of a concern that it would result in increased abuse of all varieties of drugs. And he had actually reiterated that opposition as recently as 2015, according to the Washington Post. Well, turns out that he was only alterably opposed to it because now he's joined the board of a cannabis operation.
Mm-hmm. He wants to count de Monet is what he wants to do.
Exactly. Acreage Holdings says that it's one of the nation's largest multi-state actively managed cannabis corporations and that its mission is to become the world's leading cannabis company, bringing safe, affordable cannabis to everyone who needs it. In a tweet announcing the move Wednesday, Boehner said that his views on the subject of cannabis, currently classified as a Schedule I drug at the federal level, have evolved. Right? That's the political speech for I'm making money now. So I'm convinced
Did he
that
cry?
Probably. I'm convinced that descheduling the drug is needed so we can do research, help our veterans, and reverse the opioid epidemic ravaging our communities. Now, just so Mr. Boehner knows, my friends have been researching cannabis since I was in high school. And there's plenty of research out there. You just have to talk to my friends. I'm just kidding. In a statement expanding on his change of heart, Boehner explained that the attitude shift came about due to veterans who are affected by the opioid epidemic. He says, I have concluded descheduling cannabis is needed so that we can do research and allow the VA to offer it as a treatment option.
Well, and we're giggling because it's just such a turn for him. I
It
mean,
is.
I mean, honestly, it's just such an about face. But he's right. I mean, if cannabis can be introduced as a viable treatment option, whether it's just a CBD oil or whatever it is they use, or just smoking it, I guess, or eating it.
Here's the thing: if it was truly a medicine and it was handled like a medicine, right? And they actually did the proper experiments and they were doing all the stuff, and you could get it in a controlled amount and in a controlled way, as opposed to I'm just going to puff on this thing until I'm feeling good. I don't know. They've never treated it really like a medicine. Even when California did its medical marijuana law, you didn't go to CVS to get your marijuana. You went to some, shady little street corner, whatever.
You went to a doctor. I'm using air quotes. A doctor to get your prescription.
Right. And so, it's just fascinating to me because that's not where the money's at. It's not in the medical side of marijuana.
Well, that's because so in their defense, the defense of people who are pushing for this, you haven't been. It's been legally, because it's been a Schedule I drug. You haven't been able to do any research. So they need to change it so that universities can actually research it.
I completely agree that they should definitely change it and be doing the research. I still have my issues with it. I as a school teacher, I see all these kids that have got drug problems, and that a lot of the stuff is really kind of being marketed towards kids. And we've seen, and I think I shared this before, we've seen an uptick in edibles showing up on our school campuses, and this is just really, really scary. And so if I ever have any kind of class event and kids say, "Can I bring something, Mr. Brinker?" my answer is always no, because I am not going to have some kid bring something in that's laced with something. Everything that's brought and given to the kids in the class is provided by the school or by me, and it's prepackaged and made sure, because I don't want to have that incident. That's not something I want to have happen, and I worry about these kids. And the messages, the weird messaging that they're getting, about drugs, and so, I'm very concerned about how we're handling this. But it's laughable for me that Boehner has now done a flippity do on the old marijuana.
God,
he's a friend of Mary Jane now.
He's a. Maybe it'll stop his crying.
So also, he issued a joint statement with former governor, Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld, who was the vice presidential candidate for the Libertarian ticket in the last round. And the Libertarian Party has always been for legalizing marijuana.
Well, I think that legalizing all drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's libertarian, right? You do you, I'll do me, and, just make sure if you're doing you got to take care of you.
Well, and I would tell you that a big part of why the libertarian movement has sort of grown in the last few years is part and parcel with the acceptance of marijuana, and that people are starting to say, hey, you know what, you're right, government should kind of stay out of some of this stuff. So, fascinating topic. So funny, though, John Boehner. John Boehner's making money.
That's right. So we're at the end of our show for today. Have a great day, everybody. I'm Erin Breaker.
And I'm Tobin Breaker.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
I'm Chuck Hamlick, CNBC. Dow futures are up 150 points because